The Lincoln penny, also known as the Lincoln cent, is one of the most iconic and beloved coins ever minted in the history of American currency, and it carries with it not only the image of one of the greatest U.S. presidents but also a story that stretches across more than a century of design changes, minting errors, collector discoveries, and historic values that have turned simple 1-cent pieces into small treasures worth thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars today. When we look at the Lincoln penny, we are looking at a living piece of history, a coin that first appeared in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, making it the first U.S. coin to feature the portrait of an actual person, a groundbreaking move at the time. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the coin featured a detailed bust of Lincoln on the obverse side, while the reverse originally displayed 2 wheat stalks framing the words 1 cent and United States of America, along with the Latin motto E pluribus unum above. This design, often called the wheat penny, was minted from 1909 until 1958, and during that period, several varieties and minting errors made certain dates incredibly valuable for collectors. For example, the 1909 SVDB Lincoln penny is one of the most famous rare coins in American numismatic history. The initials VDB, standing for Victor David Brenner, were placed prominently on the reverse at the bottom center of the coin. However, public criticism arose that Brenner's initials were too large and noticeable, leading the U.S. Mint to remove them quickly. As a result, only a small number of 1909 S pennies with the VDB initials were struck in San Francisco before the design was changed, making this version extremely rare. Today, a well-preserved 1909 SVDB Lincoln penny can sell for over $3,000 to $5,000 in circulated condition and easily exceed $50,000 or more in uncirculated, mint-state grades, with the highest auction record reaching over $100,000 for a top-graded specimen. But that's just the beginning of this coin's remarkable story. Following the wheat penny era, the Lincoln Memorial design was introduced in 1959 to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Designed by Frank Gasparo, the reverse depicted the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., where if you looked closely, you could even see a tiny statue of Lincoln seated inside the memorial, a tribute to the level of detail and artistry that went into U.S. coinage at the time. This design ran from 1959 to 2008, creating countless varieties, errors, and mint marks that collectors continue to hunt for today. Among the most valuable Lincoln Memorial pennies is the 1969 S double die obverse, where the inscriptions Liberty, In God We Trust, and the date 1969 appear boldly doubled. This error is one of the most dramatic and valuable in all of U.S. coinage. Only a few dozen authentic examples are known, and when one surfaces, collectors go wild. One sold at auction for $126,500, proving that even a penny in your pocket could secretly be worth a small fortune. Another extremely valuable variety is the 1972 double die obverse penny, which also shows heavy doubling in the same areas. While not as rare as the 1969 S version, high-grade examples of the 1972 double die can fetch anywhere from $300 to $1,000 depending on condition. Another exciting chapter in the Lincoln penny's history is the 1982 transition year, when the U.S. Mint changed the penny's composition from 95% copper and 5% zinc to a copper-plated zinc coin, 97.5% zinc, 2.5% copper. This change happened mid-year, resulting in both copper and zinc pennies dated 1982 being produced. The copper versions weigh about 3.11 grams, while the newer zinc ones weigh 2.5 grams, and collectors can easily tell them apart by weight. There are also 7 known varieties from 1982, large date, small date, copper, and zinc versions from both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. Finding a 1982 D small date copper penny, for example, could make you rich because only a few have ever been confirmed. One sold for over $18,000, showing how tiny differences in design and composition can mean massive differences in value. Then we have one of the most famous modern era pennies ever discovered, the 1992 close AM penny and its cousin, the 1999 wide AM penny. These refer to spacing between the letters A and M in the word America on the reverse side of the coin. On the 1992 close AM penny, the letters nearly touch, a design meant for proof coins accidentally used on regular circulation strikes. Only a few examples exist, and they've sold for over $20,000. The 1999 wide AM is the opposite error, a proof reverse used on business strike coins, and those can also bring in $5,000 to $10,000 depending on grade. These AM errors are among the most fun for modern collectors because they can still occasionally be found in circulation if you have a sharp eye and patience to search through rolls. Let's go back a bit to the wheat penny era again because that's where some of the true legends of coin collecting lie. Aside from the 1909 SVDB, there's the 1914 D Lincoln penny, minted in Denver, which is another superstar among rare cents. It had a very low mintage of just 1,193,000 coins, and most entered circulation, meaning very few high-quality examples remain. A gem uncirculated 1914 D penny can easily sell for $25,000 or more, with top specimens fetching upwards of $75,000 at auction. Then there's the 1922 No D penny, a fascinating minting error from the Denver Mint, where the mint mark D was either weakly struck or completely missing due to a worn die. Since Denver was the only mint producing pennies that year, the No D variety caused a sensation. Today, it's one of the most sought-after coins in the entire Lincoln series, with values reaching $10,000 to $30,000 depending on condition. Moving forward in time, the 1955 double die obverse penny is probably the most well-known and iconic minting error ever. When collectors talk about the double die penny, they usually mean the 1955 version. The doubling is so strong that you can clearly see it with the naked eye. The words, "Liberty," "In God We Trust," and the date, 1955, appear doubled almost like two distinct prints. These coins entered circulation accidentally, and lucky individuals back then received them in their change. Imagine the shock of discovering a coin with such a bizarre and obvious error. Today, even circulated examples of the 1955 double die can bring $1,000 to $2,000, and high-grade uncirculated ones can go for $15,000 or more. Over the decades, the Lincoln penny has undergone several major design transitions. In 2009, to celebrate the bicentennial of Lincoln's birth and the 100th anniversary of the coin, the U.S. Mint released 4 special reverse designs that depicted different stages of Lincoln's life: his birthplace in Kentucky, his formative years in Indiana, his professional life in Illinois, and his presidency in Washington, D.C. These coins were struck for only 1 year, making them highly collectible, especially in uncirculated rolls or proof sets. Then in 2010, the reverse changed once again to feature the Union Shield design, representing Lincoln's role in preserving the United States during the Civil War. The shield design, still used today, features 13 vertical stripes representing the original states joined under a single banner, symbolizing unity. As we continue exploring the fascinating journey of the Washington quarter dollar, it's time to dive deeper into its evolution, its hidden treasures, and the extraordinary stories that have made this coin one of the most collected in American history. From its humble beginnings during the Great Depression to its transformation into a masterpiece of modern minting, the Washington quarter stands as a shining example of how a single piece of currency can carry decades of national pride, artistry, and incredible collector value. When we talk about this coin, we are not just talking about metal. We're talking about legacy, craftsmanship, and a series that has captured the imagination of millions of collectors worldwide. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, replacing the standing Liberty quarter that had been in circulation since 1916. The new design featured a powerful portrait of George Washington, symbolizing leadership, courage, and unity at a time when America was struggling through the Great Depression. Sculptor John Flanagan was chosen to design the coin, and his depiction of Washington's profile became an enduring image that continues to this day. The reverse featured a majestic eagle with outstretched wings, a symbol of strength and freedom. Originally struck in 90% silver and 10% copper, the Washington quarter quickly gained popularity for both its aesthetic appeal and its connection to the nation's first president. The early years of the Washington quarter, especially the 1930s and 1940s, produced several key dates and varieties that are now among the most valuable in the entire series. One of the most sought-after pieces is the 1932 D Washington quarter, which had a tiny mintage of just 436,800 coins, making it one of the lowest mintage circulation strike quarters ever issued. Its counterpart, the 1932 S, also had a small mintage of 408,000, and both are considered the crown jewels of the Washington quarter series. Even well-circulated examples of these two coins can easily command hundreds to thousands of dollars, while high-grade mint state specimens can exceed $20,000 or more at auction. But the Washington quarter's value doesn't stop at its earliest years. The series is filled with varieties, minting errors, and silver issues that continue to surprise collectors. For example, during World War II, the demand for silver coins increased dramatically, and in 1943, the mint made subtle adjustments in production to meet military and economic needs. Quarters from this era, especially those with full strike details, have become highly collectible. Then there's the 1950 D/S over mintmark quarter, where a Denver mintmark was stamped over a San Francisco mintmark, a minting anomaly that makes it a rare and exciting find. Depending on condition, this coin can bring $500 to $3,000, a solid return for something originally worth just 25 cents. By the early 1960s, silver prices were rising rapidly, and the U.S. Mint faced a major challenge: producing coins that people wouldn't hoard for their metal content. The Washington quarter's composition changed dramatically in 1965, when silver was completely removed and replaced by a copper-nickel-clad composition, a copper core sandwiched between two layers of nickel. This change marked the end of an era for silver quarters, and today, collectors prize pre-1965 Washington quarters for their 90% silver content, which alone gives them intrinsic value above face value. As of today's silver prices, each pre-1965 quarter contains about 0.18 troy ounces of silver, meaning even its melt value often exceeds $4 to $5 per coin, and higher-grade collectible examples are worth much more. Among the clad quarters, there are also some extraordinary rarities. One of the most famous is the 1970 S-proof quarter struck on a 1941 Canadian quarter planchet, which sold at auction for a staggering $35,000. A perfect example of how minting mistakes can create coins that are both unique and immensely valuable. Another fascinating error is the 2000p South Carolina quarter with a double strike, which sold for over $5,000, showing that even modern quarters can hide incredible surprises. Collectors also pay close attention to special issues like the bicentennial quarters of 1976, which were struck to commemorate America's 200th birthday. These quarters featured a special reverse design by Jack L. Ahr, showing a colonial drummer boy with a torch and 13 stars, symbolizing the original colonies. While billions were made for circulation, there were also 40% silver versions produced for collectors. Some of these silver bicentennial quarters, especially in pristine proof condition, can sell for $200 to $500, with special deep cameo examples fetching even more. As time went on, the Washington quarter underwent several major design shifts. In 1999, the U.S. Mint launched the 50-state quarters program, one of the most popular coin series ever produced. Each state had its own unique reverse design, issued in the order they joined the Union. This program not only revitalized coin collecting but also brought millions of new enthusiasts into the hobby. Quarters like the 2004 D Wisconsin Extra Leaf High and Low varieties became instant sensations, as a small die gouge created the appearance of an extra leaf on the ear of corn on the coin's reverse. These varieties sold for hundreds of dollars when first discovered and still bring $100 to $500 today, depending on condition. After the success of the state quarters, the Mint introduced the America the Beautiful Quarters program in 2010, which continued until 2021. These featured stunning designs showcasing national parks and monuments from each state and U.S. territory. Some of these issues, like the 2019 W. West Point Mint quarters, are especially interesting because they were never sold to collectors directly. Instead, they were released into circulation to spark public interest in coin collecting. The W mint mark made these coins instantly desirable, and high-grade examples often sell for $200 to $500, with certain rare varieties climbing even higher. Now, let's talk about one of the most extraordinary quarters ever to hit the auction block, the 1932 D Washington quarter in MS-66 condition, which sold for a jaw-dropping $143,750. This record-breaking sale underscores just how passionate collectors are about this coin, and how even a seemingly ordinary quarter can be transformed into a six-figure treasure if it's rare enough and well-preserved. Another incredible example is the 1943 Washington quarter struck on a bronze planchet, an error caused by leftover penny blanks being used by mistake. Only a few of these are known, and one sold for nearly $90,000, cementing its place among the rarest modern U.S. coins ever found. When you hold a Washington quarter in your hand, you're holding a symbol of American resilience and artistry. From silver to clad, from simple designs to breathtaking state depictions, this coin has told America's story decade after decade. Each scratch and shine on its surface carries memories of everyday transactions, of people saving coins in jars, of kids starting their first collections, and of seasoned numismatists searching for perfection. Whether it's a 1932 D worth tens of thousands or a circulated state quarter found in your pocket change, each Washington quarter connects you to something much bigger than money, a tangible link to the history of the United States. Thanks for watching.